They say a man's life can change in a single heartbeat, and for Cowboy Luke Marston, it happened on a dusty Arizona morning when he found a wounded Apache girl lying beside a creek, her breathing weak, her hands trembling, and her eyes filled with a kind of fear he'd never seen before. And yet, she still looked at him with a bravery that could silence a storm. That was the moment Luke's world shifted. Before we continue this powerful story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Golden Heart Stories, where every tale reminds us that kindness still matters. Luke wasn't the kind of cowboy who went looking for trouble. He lived simple: sunrise work, sunset prayers, and enough silence to keep a man honest. But when he saw her, barely conscious, an arrow lodged near her shoulder, he knew this wasn't something he could walk away from. Not when someone needed help. Not when a human life hung by a thread. He lifted her gently, whispering, "Easy now. You're safe." Her name, he later learned, was Aylin, an Apache girl who had been chased off her own land by bandits who wanted to sell her tribe's sacred horses. She wasn't weak. She wasn't fragile. She had simply fought until she couldn't anymore. Luke brought her home, cleaned her wound, fed her broth spoon by spoon until she opened her eyes again. And when she finally spoke, her voice cracked like dry leaves. "Why would you help me?" He didn't know how to answer, because he didn't know. He just knew the world was cruel enough, and maybe, just maybe, one act of kindness could balance a little of that. Days passed. Aylin healed, and Luke discovered the kind of quiet connection that doesn't need many words. She taught him how the wind carried stories, how every creature, man, horse, or hawk, had a spirit watching over them, how kindness once given travels farther than footprints. But one evening everything changed. A bandit horseman came riding toward Luke's ranch, one of the same men who had hunted Aylin. And in that moment, Luke realized something he hadn't admitted even to himself. He would risk his life for her. Without hesitation, Luke stepped between the rider and Aylin. It wasn't bravery. It wasn't duty. It was something deeper, something he didn't dare name. A short, tense standoff ended when the bandit retreated, realizing Luke wouldn't back down. Aylin looked at him with tears shining like dying sunlight. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "I had to," he said softly. But then came the twist, the part Luke never expected. Aylin's tribe arrived the next morning. They had been searching for her for days. And according to Apache tradition, once a member was endangered, they had to return immediately to sacred grounds for spiritual cleansing and protection. Aylin couldn't stay, not even to say goodbye properly. Before she left, she placed her hand over Luke's heart. "You saved my life," she said. "But somewhere in the healing, you gave me yours." Luke swallowed hard, because she was right. And she added, almost in a whisper, "Some souls meet only to change each other, not to stay." Then she was gone, disappearing into the desert with her tribe. Luke stood alone on his porch afterward, staring at the horizon where she vanished. But here's the thing. His heart wasn't broken, because kindness doesn't always return the way we expect. Sometimes it comes back as wisdom, strength, or a gentle reminder that we're capable of more love than we thought. And Luke knew, deep down, that saving Aylin had saved a part of himself too. The part that believes humanity still has goodness left in it. Final message. In a world that can be harsh and unforgiving, one act of compassion can echo farther than we ever realize. Sometimes we save others, sometimes they save us, and sometimes the gift is simply knowing we tried.